What's up, metal and heavy music fans? These are my favorite black metal albums of 2022 so far. Let's kick things off with Watain and the Agony and Ecstacy of Watain. Now, I feel like this is at once among their most aggressive and most dynamic albums to date, with instant classic ragers like Ecstasies and the Night Infinite, The Howling, and Leper's Grace, but these are also broken up by more plotting and atmospheric fare like Saramosa, the interlude Not Sun, Nor Man, Nor God, and especially the haunting We Remain. The resulting pacing is frankly exquisite, making for a highly engaging experience as well, and perfectly captured by some of their best production to date. Think the best elements of Lawless Darkness and Sworn to the Dark, but with a slightly more ambitious scope and a much more focused runtime. One of many on this list that I actually think is among their best overall. Next up, we're digging into the underground with Unyi and their self-titled album, which translates to Kill. This is a one-man Russian black metal project that reached out to me directly, and after sampling it on the Bandcamp Underground Metal segment, I knew it had to make this list. The intro has more atmosphere than most major label projects out there, building layers and layers of ensorceling synth and guitars before absolutely devastating with To the Ground. The vocals are straight hellfire, the guitars satanic rebellion incarnate, and the songwriting 100% on point. Like that little guitar break about a minute into that same song, suddenly punctuated by the booming bass and gnarly screams, really got a visceral reaction out of me on the stream. I decided to include this one right after Watain because it definitely seems to take some notes from the same camp. If you dig black metal that delivers on both massive atmosphere and supreme aggression in one package, this is the release for you. Then we have The Spirit with Of Clarity and Galactic Structures. Now, I've been following this German progressive black and death metal band for a few years now, and each release is better than the last. Fans of bands like Dissection should really love the fusion of aggression and earworm melodic riffing on display, and also on par with the classics, the atmosphere is appropriately icy, but here within the context of the cold vacuum of space. Hail the celestial fire, mass ejections rising higher. Expect plenty of transitions between melodic black metal, doom, and more overtly prog sections, as with the lengthier Arcane Wanderer or the powerful synth-infused instrumental Laniakia. In any case, another release to keep the positive momentum going on the black metal spectrum, and one best experience from start to finish. Alright, another underground pick here with Orob and Aurobindo Noir. One of my favorite styles of black metal is the progressive subgenre, and this French band channels those best elements of Enslaved, Blut Nord, and Shamash. The harsh vocals are pure, brutal, and the mantra-like clean straight out of Cosmosophy or Triangle, with tracks like Spectral and Astral, for instance, taking us on a twisting journey through the mystical veil. This album manages to both take me back to my first time listening to classics like Isa, while still delivering a fresh new experience. It's dark and haunting, yet also deeply transcendent, like diving into the depths of your inner demons only to claw your way back to the light through sheer willpower. The only way out is through. Next up we have Acharontis with the Seven Tongues of Aman. This is the latest thematic iteration of this iconic underground Greek black metal band around since 1996. They've always taken atmosphere to the next level, often feeling like being in the midst of some chaotic spellcasting session. The shrieking tremolos, pounding drums, and harrowing chanting surround you like a whirlwind of pure evil. Check out Leviathan, the fervent scales and reverence, just for a basic idea of what cinematic heights this music can truly reach. If I do have one criticism, it's that I do find myself wishing it threw in a few weird curveballs to break things up, but regardless, this is still a top-notch release in the genre. So I also asked y'all what your favorite black metal albums have been this year so far, and one of the most common responses was Celeste with Assassins. Now, for whatever reason, I didn't really give this album much attention when it came out, but you inspired me to circle back, and I can definitely see why so many people loved it. It's easily one of the most sorrowful and emotionally resonant albums on this list, both due to the more melodic, Numenorian-esque instrumentation and heartrending vocal performances of Johann Girardot. Even without any clean singing, he conveys such a sense of grief and pain in his screams, and while the guitar work is a bit more simplistic and atmospheric by design, the drumming on this album is spectacular. Not necessarily my go-to style for this genre, but definitely worthy of this list and something a little different from the rest. Next is Horn with Verzet. So the opening track on this album really sold me with the punky beat and almost Bad Religion sounding guitar hook, but then that mandolin comes in and I was just butter. But the majority of this album has a much slower to mid-pace swing to it, fusing folk and black metal to stunning atmospheric effect and crafting beautiful pagan soundscapes, sometimes with additional instrumentation as with the strings on Alpen Recorder or the subtle brass of Gaugenbrich. Vocals come in both harsh and clean varieties, the latter seeming to carry a certain ancestral spirit, whether delivered in English or German. And even if you don't speak the latter, the performances speak volumes in terms of raw emotion on their own. Then we have Nocturnal Mortum with To Lunar Poetry. As the name would suggest, this is more or less a re-recorded and revamped tribute to their first demo. And a great example of how to do this right, unlike a certain other redone song this year that resulted in both my most hated and successful album to date. In any case, I'd compare this somewhat to the level of reimagining that Dimmu Borgir did a while back with Stormblast. It takes the same blueprint of the original and just fleshes out the details more in line with their current material. I'm a big fan of this band's discography, so to hear these already entrancing songs now with the massive production and more extensive folk and pagan elements of the later albums like Voice of Steel and Verity is a real treat. Then there's Nechochwen with Kanawha Black. It's hard to live up to a 7-year hype after dropping one of the seminal albums of 2015, but damned if Nechochwen haven't done it again. There are some general quirks one could use to describe their overall sound, but to do so would betray the sheer amount of variety on display with this new outing. The title track had me reflecting on what it might sound like if Chemist collabed with Panopticon. A Cure for Winter Plagues gets super funeral doomy, Generations of War contrasts malevolent sounding harmonized guitars with what sounds like a chording flute, and then both Visions, Dreams, and Signs, an epic closer across the divide, are brimming with moody acoustic and soaring blackened melodic riffs on par with early Opeth. Another majestic display of unbridled passion and creativity. And then even though these are not in order, I did have to end with Blut aus Nord and Disharmonium Undreamable Abysses. The fusion of Blut aus Nord with Lovecraftian themes and imagery here is a match made in heaven. Tales of the Old Dreamer offers the perfect summary, sounding like massive elder gods lumbering over the listener, joined by cloaked cultists enthusiastically sermonizing at their arrival. Meanwhile, befitting of the title, Chants of the Deep Ones, creepy warbly guitars and pulsating bass sound like their alien language alongside the constantly tunneling effect of the blast beats. And once more, I continue to be amazed at the sounds that Blut aus Nord continue to conjure from their instruments, as with the groaning, shorting electricity opening of That Cannot Be Dreamed. Every track is brimming with atmosphere and truly the ultimate culmination of the Unnameable in sonic form. Check out my tier list for my full review and ranking within their discography, but this is easily one of their best albums so far. And you can also check out this playlist for plenty more black metal videos, and let me know down in the comments what is your favorite black metal album of 2022 so far. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.